I want to take a look at a few moments from the debate that happened, the senatorial debate for the Ohio Senate seat between J.D. Vance, the Republican, and Tim Ryan, the Democrat. And as a reminder, J.D. Vance is one of these people who, back before he was trying to benefit from Trump politically, he was saying this could be America's Hitler, Donald Trump, and how bad Trump was. And then he flipped his tune completely and is super pro-Trump and is a butt kisser of Trump, as Tim Ryan will identify at one point in this debate that was epic. But the first one I want to show you is J.D. Vance highlighting that I don't want to hear, speaking to J.D. Vance, your pro-law enforcement rhetoric whenever you fundraised for people who beat cops on January 6th. Take a look at this moment.
On January 6th, we had 140 cops, United States Capitol Police, get injured during the insurrection when they tried to overthrow the government. Beat them upside the head with lead pipes, spray them with pepper spray. The one video we saw, the cop got jammed into the door, right? J.D. Vance raised money for the legal defense fund of the insurrectionists. This is the kind of extremism, J.D., that we wholly reject. You have video posts. Don't even try to deny it. We got your Twitter posts and everything else. Everybody's seen it. He said, help these guys with their legal defense fund. Now, can you imagine one guy saying out of one side of his mouth he's pro-cop, and out of the other side of his mouth he's raising money for the insurrectionists who were beating up the Capitol Police? The one guy he tried to raise money for got 4 years in prison. This is ridiculous. I'm not taking a back seat to you. I brought $500 million back to fund police in Ohio.
So I've
on January 6th.
Great moment there. And this will be Tim Ryan heavy because that's obviously who I think is the better candidate by a mile. And I'm more interested to see which moments he's able to make an effective case in. Here is Vance getting asked if he supports Lindsey Graham's abortion bill, because I think this is important for people in Ohio to know that he does.
On the Lindsey Graham bill, my view on this is, generally speaking, Ohio is going to want to have different abortion laws than California, than Texas, and I think Ohio should have that right. But some minimum national standard is totally fine with me.
Okay. So in support of that nationwide ban that Lindsey Graham had proposed, and then the moment that just went so viral, Tim Ryan highlighting the fact, and you'll see this clip actually puts in Trump saying this in the middle of it, so you get the context all wrapped up in this one clip of Trump saying that J.D. Vance is an ass kisser, has kissed Trump's rear end, and Tim Ryan identifying how weak that makes J.D. Vance and how that is not the person Ohio should be voting for.
Just a few weeks ago in Youngstown, on the stage, Donald Trump said to J.D. Vance, all you do is kiss my ass to get my support.
New York Times did a fake story today, big front page, that J.D. wasn't sure if he wanted my support. J.D. is kissing my ass. He wants my support. So I'm 18 points up.
After Trump took J.D. Vance's dignity from him on the stage in Youngstown, J.D. Vance got back up on stage and started shaking his hand, taking pictures, saying, hey, aren't we having a great time here tonight? I don't know anybody I grew up with, I don't know anybody I went to high school with that would allow somebody to take their dignity like that and then get back up on stage.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I love that so much. And then here's the next moment we're going to take a look at. Oh, sorry, 1 second.
President Kamala Harris said just last month that the southern border is secure. So do you agree with her, and how do you respond to the accusations that just came from Mr. Vance?
So you'll see I highlighted this one because one of the things I noticed Tim Ryan do a lot throughout the debate, and a lot of the things he said I actually disagreed with, but you can tell he's trying to make himself out to be not just another Democrat, but a lot more moderate, a lot more trying to reach out to conservatives. And that was clear in the debate. He kept bringing up, hey, I actually support the building certain parts of the border wall, and I actually support all these different things that you may think aren't typical of a Democratic candidate. But I understand why he's doing that. It's Ohio. It's a lot more red than most places Democrats are running. So there's some strategy to it, but this is an example of that. So he gets asked, Kamala Harris said the border is secure. Do you agree?
Vance.
Kamala Harris is absolutely wrong on that. It's not secure. We have a lot of work to do. I'm not here to just get in a fight or just toe the Democratic Party line. I'm here to speak the truth. We do have more work to do, which is why I have a resolution to designate fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction, which is why I vote for more Border Patrol, why I vote for a barrier, why I vote for technology and started the Border Technology Caucus. So that's what I have done. You know what I haven't done? I didn't start a fake nonprofit pretending like I was going to help people with addiction like J.D. Vance did. Literally started a nonprofit and didn't spend one nickel on anybody. In fact, he brought in somebody from Purdue Pharma to be the spokesperson for the nonprofit. The same drug company, Big Pharma, the big drug company that had all the pill mills going, got everybody addicted. 1 million people died, JD. 1 million people died. And you started a nonprofit.
We'll let JD Vance respond to this.
To try to take advantage of people in Ohio. And you know what? All you did with it was launch your political career. His campaign manager worked for that nonprofit. He ran a poll to check his own standing from that nonprofit. I'm not going to take a backseat to you or anybody else on fentanyl, drugs, or immigration or anything else. Somebody that would, what kind of man would start a fake nonprofit to try to deal with addiction and not spend any money on anybody?
None of this is true, of course. And here's the problem with what Tim Ryan said. It's shameful for you to attack me, given that my family was affected by this problem. I put $80,000 of my own money into that nonprofit organization, Tim, and it absolutely did help people. Now, here's the thing. If you're in Ohio and you've seen these ridiculous commercials that Tim Ryan runs telling dishonest lies about my nonprofit organization, it's paid by pharmaceutical blood money, because the very same corporations that caused this poison to come into our country in the first place have funded your campaign to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars. Why are the people who've gotten rich off the opioid epidemic funding Tim Ryan and attacking me? The answer is obvious, because this guy is the biggest fan of pharma, and he's the biggest fan of illegal pharma, which is the Mexican drug cartels that are bringing this poison into our country.
I just need a chance to respond to that. My record.
So let's discuss, we'll let him respond to the Big Pharma thing, because I think in it, of course, lots of politicians receive money from special interests, and it bothers me. But within it, he does make good points about how he has gone against Big Pharma's wishes recently in a lot of Biden's agenda. But first, to the claim about the nonprofit, I was curious about that. It does seem it was very dishonest what J.D. Vance did there. I can't personally verify the specifics of did he spend a single nickel on anything. But this Business Insider article actually broke this news about the fishiness of this nonprofit that J.D. Vance set up. It goes through how it all got started. But then 5 years later, the nonprofit Our Ohio Renewal seems to have faltered before it ever got off the ground. Its status is now raising questions about the credentials of Vance, who has entered a crowded Republican primary to replace retiring Senator Rob Portman. A review by Insider of the nonprofit's tax filings showed that in its first year, Our Ohio Renewal spent more on management services provided by its executive director, who also serves as Vance's top political advisor, than it did on programs to fight opioid abuse. So maybe something was spent on opioid abuse, but it does seem, as it highlights in this next thing, that it was more of a political endeavor. It did a survey to gouge the needs and welfare of Ohioans, maybe getting a little bit of an assessment of the political landscape for a possible run there. And then Vance's campaign declined to provide any documentation of the project when an insider asked about it. So definitely fishy stuff going on there based on his tax filings. But as I mentioned, we will let him respond now, Tim Ryan, to the accusation that he's funded by Big Pharma.
Is impeccable on
clearly it's not, Tim.
Pharmaceuticals and taking on Big Pharma. Okay,
is that why they give you tens of thousands of dollars?
I don't vote with them. I don't vote with them.
But you do take their money.
Just a couple weeks ago, we passed a Medicare reform provision that for the first time in decades, we will be able to negotiate down drug prices. Big Pharma didn't like that. Fought it tooth and nail. I voted against them. We capped prescription drug costs in the Medicare program for seniors to $2,000. My mom falls into the donut hole. She'll pay $1,000 a month in prescription drugs. We capped it to $2,000 a year. I helped get that passed. I took on the pharmaceutical company. Insulin, we got it to $35 for Medicare recipients. I fought for that, and I got it. So time and time again, I have voted against the pharmaceutical, but this is the smoke and mirrors that our guy likes to put up here.
Good stuff. And the things he listed were absolutely significant. All things under the Biden administration's agenda that I absolutely supported. And then one final moment. Take a look.
Get something else on the record while we're on this topic. The Senate has a unique role of confirming Supreme Court nominees. Marriage equality, as the congressman mentioned, could be revisited by the Supreme Court. Will that be a litmus test for you if you are in the position of evaluating a Supreme Court nominee? And we begin with you, Mr. Vance.
I don't like any litmus test for any Supreme Court nominations. I just want good judges who interpret the Constitution. That's what I really want. And look, Tim Ryan just accused me of being extreme on the LGBT issue. This is a guy who voted just a couple of months ago, right, for the Equality Act, the so-called Equality Act that would literally remove federal funding for free and reduced lunch programming for schools that don't let biological males participate in biological female sports. The extremist here, Tim, is you. And again, I don't expect you to actually answer the substance of what I said, but let's just at least be honest with voters about what our actual views are.
And we are on the litmus test question, and you can respond to him on that as well.
Yeah, I will have a litmus test. I will have a litmus test on Roe v. Wade. I'll have a litmus test on the same-sex marriage. I'll have a litmus test on birth control. We cannot keep going down this road of taking away rights. The Dobbs decision was the absolute first decision where the Supreme Court is taking rights away from people. It's not right. You know, we don't want doctors in our bedrooms. We don't want doctors politicians in our bedrooms and politicians in our doctors' offices. That's not what we want. And that's what this group of people who have taken over the Supreme Court and taken over state legislatures want. They want control. They want to control women. They want to tell you what kind of marriage you can have. They want to tell you whether or not you can use birth control. And look, the reality of it is we got to get the government out of a lot of these decisions.
So I'll stop it there, but great moment again there from Tim Ryan, because the way he's framing it is a little bit in a way that I think he seeks to appeal to conservatives with, which is get the government out of our lives in a way to talk about abortion, to talk about some of these other things, because that is one of the big hypocrisies of people who pretend to be small government people, is oftentimes, at least those who reside in the Republican Party, then they flip around and say the government should tell you that you can't have, for some not too long ago, states say you can't have certain types of sex, you can't use contraceptives, you can't do this and that, and gay marriage and abortion and all these things. And so I love how he did that in a way that hopefully will appeal to more people, and made clear that, sure, I have a litmus test for Supreme Court justices. They should be good. They should actually want to rule in ways that don't take the rights of people away. Final thing to look at is polling in this race. The average has it Vance 1.4 up. So very, very, very tight. But Vance does seem to be in the lead, which is unfortunate. But we'll be watching it, and hopefully Tim Ryan can pull off, an upset there.